Okay, what is up? Here's this week's Wyckoff Wednesdays episode. I'm going to be going over a trade that I took based off supply and demand trading, not necessarily based off Wyckoff. This is on Euro USD. I took it today, and yeah, let's get right into it. So, looking at this, we're on the 2-minute time frame. You guys can see higher time frame. This is obviously the higher time frame structure. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low right here with this move, and then lower high, lower low. So that's kind of how I was looking at this market. And that was my general bias on the higher time frames. So if we look within this leg to the downside, okay, this was a single leg. I'll go to the 15-minute. So I'll go to this right here. So here's a leg to the downside. And then this right here was a quote unquote supply level, but we broke through it. So this was supply right here. Let me get rid of all these little drawings. These are actually all on the chart because I recorded this beforehand and it didn't save. So now I have to do it again, but that'll just make it better. So here was our leg to the downside, right? Leg, boom. Intermediate structure, boom, 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 right? So now we broke it somewhere down here. I can zoom in, but here was the break of structure that I was looking at this morning. So we had a break above this, right? So within this leg, we had the supply here. So that's what it traded into. Now, why didn't this supply hold? The likely reason it didn't hold is because it broke structure. So this supply did not hold, right? We broke structure. So I'm thinking I can trade it all the way up into here, technically. So trading it up into here is good. That's fine, right? Now, that means that if we break above, or if we trade into this and break above, this is not valid anymore. This supply level also not valid, because when you break structure and start going against the supply formed on that time frame, meaning I have it up here. Let's say this is 15-minute structure. 15-minute, boom, 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 supply, supply, supply. Once you break this, none of these are valid anymore because now you're going against the trend. When you break this, you're in an uptrend. So when you get to these levels, what you'll see here, this is reaccumulation. When you get here, reaccumulation. When you get here, same thing. It's just going to reaccumulate and go straight through it. And this is the ultimate target of liquidity. Now, this is the higher time frame leg. So you guys can see higher time frame legs, right? That's a higher time frame leg right there. And then your next one right here. When you get into these higher time frame levels of interest like this is demand, right? This is demand on the higher time frame. So when you reach these levels and you get particular reactions, it could be a really strong push up in this case, or a break of structure. It doesn't matter. But when you see these really big reactions and you get these breaks of structure, that's going to invalidate all this lower time frame structure, all this lower time frame supply. So like what you can see is if you're trading, right, and this has happened to us several times, and it's something that I've really stopped doing. Let's say this is the 4 hour. Now on the 1 hour, you're like this. This is a more accurate representation. You trade into something in here, you break structure, but ooh, you have all this supply here. This is really good supply. Could get a push down, right? Supply right here. Supply. So, and you're trying to play it because you missed the level right here. You missed it. And you're like, man, we got to get into that level. We got to trade to that level. So I want it to go down. Well, guess what? This is what has happened to us several times, and it's something I've stopped doing. You break this structure. So the moment you break structure, none of these are valid. None of them. None of them are going to work because it's against the trend now. The trend on this time frame. So like these legs right here, these are 1 hour. 1 hour downtrend, supply, 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 right? Once you break it, you're bullish on the 1 hour. You maybe so the deal is with this move, let's say you have the demand in here. There's a sell to buy or a block, right? And it misses it. That's because it already filled what it needed to fill. So like this here, this could have already been filled. You already broke structure, right? You broke right here. And the thing is that yes, you can have very clear levels, but if this is like overall demand and you trade into it and break structure, it's going to go. It doesn't need to come to where you think it's going to go. It doesn't have to do that. Absolutely not. So like here, it's going to do this. You're going to trade into the supply, boom, 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 reaccumulation, take out the high, and it just keeps doing it. Boom, 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 reaccumulation, boom, 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 boom. And then that's when you get trends. This is when you get actual trends. And it's something that we got caught up in a few months back where we try to sell it. You get this and just boop, keeps going, just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. And then before you know it, you have a trend, right? But you ignore it because you see all these supplies. You see these sell to buys. You see these buy to sells. They don't matter. They literally do not matter. And I'll show you a couple examples. So again, kind of messy, but you guys get the idea. So as soon as you see this, let's say you have a supply here. As soon as you see this, BOS, automatically invalid. Because what happens is you trade to get up here, you have to break structure. When you break structure, you go, right? You're not going to focus on the supply levels. And that's, I can extend this picture and you'll see exactly what I just showed you. There's going to be supply here, untested, supply here, untested. It could be tested too, but it's literally not going to hold because it's against the trend. So you're just going to see boom, 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 boom. It's just going to keep going, keep going. So with Euro USD here, it's what we had. We had this. This is a leg, and I at least, again, expected it to trade into these equal highs right here because there really wasn't a ton of supply on the way down. But what happened? So boom, break structure. Now I expect a pullback. I'm like, okay, whatever supply is within this higher time frame leg is just going to be liquidity. Like this liquidity, this liquidity, this liquidity, right? So what happens? And then you guys will see it even better on the lower time frame. So we took out these equal lows, pushed up, broke structure, demand level right in here. Very clear, very easy to spot, right? So now I drop to the 1 minute. On the 1 minute, so this, we're now bullish. So let's pretend that we have this just for the sake of illustration, because this follows exactly what I was showing. So higher high, higher low, higher high. Demand, higher time frame demand. Trades into the higher time frame demand, right? And look at what happens. You get this. So here's your structure, right? And this is textbook of what I'm trying to tell you guys. Textbook example. Boom, boom, right? Pullback. And until, so the break happened like right here. So this is structure, right? Boom, pullback, boom, pullback, boom, pullback. Like the structure that you think of should literally be how the banks think of it. They classify it as the high that made the new low. The high that made the new low was here, right? So boom, 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 break right there. So what happens? Automatically, I'm telling myself, you could say it was like this. It really doesn't matter. This is just a pullback here, and then it made that low. So here is the structure, right? Boom, 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 boom. Said it a couple of times to make it very clear, very explicit.
break. So automatically I am telling myself, this obviously doesn't matter, right? Broke above, traded into this, didn't hold. This isn't going to matter. And what happens whenever we get here, right? Doesn't hold. Just goes straight through it. This doesn't matter. What happens? Again, straight through it. No matter how good the supply is, right? This, also, anything in this isn't going to matter. The only thing that might matter is something way up here that's in the higher time frame supply level. But you guys can see, so this is like the higher time frame supply right here, the last kind of up move before we started pushing down. That's what it reacted off of. It already reacted off that, right? So, and you guys can see it over and over. It happens here, right? Boom, here, up. So here's our push up. I'm just going to get rid of all this. I entered on this demand candle right here. You guys can see it because BOS, leg, retracement, higher time frame. I know it's just the 1 minute, but this is your higher time frame leg right here. So boom, boom, boom. What happens? We start trending. So we break structure like right here within this push down. So this demand isn't valid. This isn't valid. Higher time frame demand all the way down here. Guess what? It holds, right? So trading down. Boom. Lower high, lower low, lower high, right? Consolidate. And what happens? We fail to make a lower low. We break this high and then we just go. This isn't valid. So this isn't valid. And it just trades straight through it. It happens all throughout the day. I was showing an example up here. I'll highlight it again. So we're trending up, right? Trending up. Structure, I'll mark it off. Here, 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 here. Demand, right? Demand right in here. Higher time frame. So, or you could really say it was all this. Higher time frame demand all the way down in here. Price will make deep retracements. It always does. That's how they trick people. Is it really is all about the higher time frame or the relevant swing points. So here's demand right in here, right? Higher high, higher low. And then let's look. So I don't have the seconds time frame, but you guys can still see it. Break a structure, test the supply, right? Test the supply right here. It does line up. I'm just terrible at drawing. You guys can see it. Test it. Head down. Break this. Test this. Head down. Break this. Right? Push. Here. Retracement. Push. Break above. What do we trade into? Demand. Right here. So you guys can see this. It's just all order flow. Here. Test. Enter. Here. Test. Demand within this wick because it mitigated. Boom, boom. Higher high. Test. Demand down in here. It literally goes on and on and on. It does. Asian session, it's not going to hold like this. Doesn't really hold. Huge wick, just ugly. But you guys can see it there. And then something like this on Euro JPY. I'm not taking it because it's completely not the right time of day for me. But here's the thing. So you guys can see we had a really clear schematic on EJ. So structure like this, right? I'm not focusing on here so much, but boom, boom, boom. BOS. This is invalid, right? Trade down here. So then you have this. You broke this, right? So boom, retracement, boom. So if I'm really getting into the fine, like the nitty gritty of all this structure, higher time frame leg, boom, here, boom, break above. This held, ultimately invalid because we broke above this. And this is like the relevant structure. That this swing point here is as significant as the supply level up here, meaning that it's this within this leg, this is the structure that formed, not all this little stuff that doesn't matter. So within this leg, that's a structure that formed, broken, doesn't hold, trades up, right? There's a layup on this as well. Super easy, guys. I mean, honestly, low, ran out. I was so mad that I did not catch this trade. I wasn't looking at the charts at the time because I eat breakfast at 7:30 my time every day. This has happened a couple times. Boom, right? So check it out. Here, structure, boom, boom, boom. You could say this, but I don't like that. Boom, boom, boom. Break above, right? Now where's your, so this is invalid. Anything in this leg's invalid. That's why I traded through it. Where's your demand? Higher time frame starts right here, like that. But if you refine it, which is what I did, here it is, demand. Consolidation, break above, right? BOS, test, and it just goes, right? It's crazy. And you guys can see this. So now the tricky part, and kind of what I'm looking at here a little bit, it is very, very odd, but I think we can all agree structure is looking a little bit like this. Oops. So a little bit like this. Boom, 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 boom. So this, and I like it from an inverted perspective, this could still hold. This supply definitely could still hold. But here's the thing. Look at the hourly. What's the issue? Look at this. Boom, right? Higher high, higher low. Trading right in to that demand right here, right? So this could still hold. It could, but I don't expect it to because this is a higher time frame point of interest. And even if it does hold, guess what? I'm taking my profit right here. If it doesn't, let's go back to the smaller time frames. We still have 15-minute structure playing, playing in our favor, right? You guys can see. I don't think I inverted it back. You guys can see. Higher high, right? So we're trading into this up here, like I said. Boom, 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 right? Let's say this is here. So this is structure, and then, so technically we could trade into this demand and still continue up. But let's go to the lower time frames. Lower time frames, what are they telling us? Well, within this leg, here's our structure. You could say this was structure right here. Maintain, 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 push up, push up. Boom, break below right here, BOS. Now I expect a test to head down. Don't know if it's going to pan out. I don't really care because I don't trade it this time of day. It's not my thing. I hate it. Anyway, here. So now I adjust this. Let's see the confluence. Let's build some confluence around this. So if I go here, let's see. Look at what the 78 lines up with. Look at what the negative 27 lines up with. Before I even pull the fib, they're lining up. So this is just another, kind of case or story that I wanted to show you guys. Now within this leg, right? Same thing applies. One leg, here's really the only structure I see is like this. Boom, 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 boom. Could break above this, which case this is invalid, but this will probably still hold because this is a higher time frame supply. This is where we really bought up before we sold off. So that's what something I'm eyeing. And then with GBP USD, you guys can see perfect example. Huge leg up that I anticipated because what did we have here? High, low, high, low, high, low, break above, come down, test, high, Here's our higher time frame demand. Within this, little demand, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, broken, lower high. What do we expect? Expect a lower low. What does this turn into, right? So this, here's the origin, I guess, of our move down right here. And what do we just trade into? Following structure, right? This is the structure. This is a leg. Boom, boom, boom. Breaks above this. What happens? Invalid, invalid, invalid. Just goes through it. Guess what? This holds because it's within the higher time frame level, right? And yeah, that's really it, to be honest with you guys, for this video. I just wanted to highlight those ideas so you guys could see. And with GU, it was just a perfect example of what I'm saying, guys. We need to come all the way back up here. Lower low, lower high, lower low, all the way down here. This is like where the actual supply is, all the way up here. We need to come up. But what happened? Lower high, or lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Break above. Invalid, just blown through. Invalid, blown through. Kind of valid, but we'll end up getting blown through when we get back down into here. So that's my lesson. This video was a lot longer, but it's something that I wanted to talk about. So again, if you're doing this, you form supply, but you go like that, this doesn't work, because if you come back up, you broke structure. It's going to respect the structure and then just completely ignore all of these, right? So now, now this here, right? Boom, boom, boom. You got a level down here, right? Barely misses it. Break a structure. What's going to happen? It's just going to start going back up. And then before you know it, you have a trend and you made a new leg. Because when you break this, the supply you're trying to play off here, because it looks so good, and you want to get all the way back down into here, guess what? Doesn't work. This supply here, guess what? Doesn't work. It's not going to hold anymore. And then this is just liquidity, so it's going to trade straight through that. And now you've actually mitigated something else, and it doesn't matter whatever else was here. It doesn't matter. Follow the structure, follow the trend, and I promise you guys it'll be fine. This is by far the most important video I've made. I picked it up watching a ton of stuff, learning myself, just really going through a lot to get to that point, because I started noticing that you would have a higher time frame level right here, and then it'd get to it, then the structure would just be respected. Guys, structure is so important. Like, you get to these levels, you think it's going to go up. Nope, it's just going to respect that structure. But within this, it's the same principle. You have little ones, broken, right? These little ones on the way down are invalid, 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 till you get to the higher time frame level one right here, and then it'll go down. But follow structure. It's the most important thing. That's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will speak to you all in our next episode. Bye, guys.